I need an ambulance at Patton Chestnut Bender ASAP. A child's been left in the car.
That's the first thing that pops into your mind.
Police can't help but think of the worst case scenario. When the 911 call comes in of a child left in a car, and on a day when it's at least 85 degrees outside.
He had left the child unattended.
Is he breathing?
His face was real red. His body was pretty red from the heat, and he was tired. He was distraught about the whole thing. I was just hoping that the kid was going to be all right, and that he'd be safe.
A father narrowly avoids tragedy and could now face very serious consequences for an incident that could have cost his son his life. Just like many parents, Kenneth Robinson, 31 years old, I believe, put his little boy in the car first thing in the morning, planning to drop his son off at daycare before heading to work. But somewhere along the way, he says he got distracted. Without thinking, he parked his car at work and went into the office. The next thing he knew, he was headed out of work to get lunch when it was discovered that he had forgotten his 2-year-old in the back seat of the car as the temperature inside rose to about 118 degrees.
I need an ambulance at Patton Chestnut Bender ASAP. A child's been left in the car.
I need to see what you can find out for me. Is the child breathing? How long has it been?
Is he breathing? Is he breathing? Yes, he's breathing.
The boy spent nearly 2 hours inside that sweltering car. Now, thankfully, this precious little boy is okay tonight, but cops say if that child had been left just 30 minutes longer, he could have died. Now, the 31-year-old father is charged with wanton endangerment, and he is pleading not guilty. Joining me tonight, Wendy Murphy, former prosecutor, law professor, and also, most importantly, a mother of, I believe, 5, right?
Yep.
Is there any excuse for this? The police say this guy was mortified and remorseful and despondent and distressed. Is that a mitigating factor?
No. I mean, it's heartbreaking because I could have cried just listening to that 911 call. I haven't ever done that, but I have accidentally locked a child in the car while I was standing there and had to get the police to come and Jimmy open the lock. And even that, I mean, I get re-traumatized and brought back to that memory every time I hear this story, and it's not even as fatal, potentially fatal. Jane, I know that parents suffer terribly, and you and I don't always agree on whether punishment and prosecution is the right way to deter bad behavior. But we're talking about forgetful parents who aren't intentional criminals. They're not neglecting to feed their children or care for them. They're simply losing their memory. They're losing their focus, and a child could die. I think it's a great way to slap this guy's memory into action and to remind all parents that even if you're heartbroken if this happens, that doesn't help the child if the child is dead.
So your answer is he should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, yes or no?
Absolutely. With this caveat, I'm not sure he needs to be punished with incarceration. I think he would probably like to slit his own wrists right now. I mean, prosecuting him is a really big step. And it's an important step because it's a public shaming, it's a public punishment, it's a message sender to all parents. And believe me, he doesn't need to be reminded again. This guy will never do this again because he is self-punishing.
Yeah, he'll never do it again, but this happens all the time. Actually, what's really shocking here is that this is not uncommon. ABC News is reporting 33 children died of hypothermia in the U.S. just last year after being left in a car. Okay, 6 have died this year. Half were forgotten by a caregiver. Now, in this incident in Kentucky, it was in the 80s outside, but inside the car, it reportedly reached approximately 118 degrees. Melanie Snare, host of Atlanta Mom. We know how hot it gets in Atlanta. I just don't understand how you forget a child. I mean, I've been very forgetful myself. I don't have children myself. I have rescue dogs. And it doesn't occur to me to leave any living creature in a car and then just forget about them. I just don't know how that could happen.
I don't either, Jane. I think it's completely ridiculous. Distraction is one thing, but if your kids are with you, you are responsible for that child. That is your number one priority. And to say that, oh, sorry, I got distracted. Number one, I forgot to go to the daycare. And then number two, I totally forgot to get the kid out of the car. Like, hello, get off your cell phone, whatever it is that you're doing. And whenever I'm getting out of my car, whether my kids are with me or nobody's with me, I always look around the space that I'm leaving and I make sure I'm not leaving anything behind, whether that's my cell phone or my camera or my kid. This is insane. I mean, it blows my mind that you could forget your kid. I think that he totally needs to be punished. I agree with the other guest. I think that it's a heartbreaking story, and I'm sure that he feels horrible about it.
Let me tell you something. It could be a lot worse. Another father, Reginald McKinnon, did approximately the same thing as Kenneth Robinson, but tragically, his 17-month-old daughter, Peyton, died after he took her to a doctor's appointment and forgot her in the backseat of his car. Listen to what he says happened.
My daughter's daycare is just like a block from my work. So whatever occurred in my head, I made that left turn too soon and proceeded on to work.
You know, again, I'm not cruel. I feel sorry for all of these dads, and it's happened with moms and aunts, etc. This man, not the guy you're looking at, but the man who just spoke in the soundbite, said he thought this kind of thing only happened to drug addicts and alcoholics, not him. Dr. Kathleen London, you are a board-certified family practice physician. Explain, most of our viewers know this, but just tell us for the record why it's such a bad idea to leave a kid or any living creature like a companion animal in a hot car and go away.
So it doesn't even have to be that hot, actually, Jane. Some of these cases happened when it was only in the 70s outside. That you have to understand that a car, the temperature inside that car, even if you crack the windows, it didn't make a difference. In about 10 minutes, it rises about 20 degrees, and by an hour can rise by about 50 degrees. So it gets very hot very quickly, and children and small animals lose that heat, or their temperature rises in their body much faster than adults do. And once you get over 104 degrees as a body temperature, that's when you start seeing symptoms of hyperthermia, where they'll be confused and agitated and other things. And when you get to 107 degrees as your core body temperature, that's when death happens. And that's because the organs shut down. Now, in 52% of the cases, you mentioned actually just how many deaths. It averages in America about 38 deaths per year from this. And in 52% of the time, the child was forgotten. I have never done that. I cannot imagine forgetting my children or my dog in the car. In 30% of the time, though, the kids have actually snuck into the car to play, so that's another danger. In 17% of cases, people intentionally left the children not realizing it was dangerous. So there's a lot of education that we need to get out there.
Look, today on ABC's Good Morning America, they showed video of a Massachusetts woman who was charged just this week with reckless endangerment for allegedly leaving her 5-month-old niece in a car while she went shopping. Prosecutors say the baby was covered in sweat when police got her out, and thankfully she survived. So I would say the message is, if you see a kid sitting in a car and it's not a cold day, in other words, if it's any kind of a day above whatever. I don't want to say, I'm not a doctor, but do something. Do something. Call 911. What's the worst that could happen? That it's a false alarm, but the alternative is unthinkable. Christine, Kentucky, your question or thought, Christine?
Yeah, Jane, they're acting like it was his father's fault that the child was left alone in the car because he was distracted by something, and the little boy, they got him out of the car quick, but the thing is that the father's being ruled over this, and I don't think it's right that the father's being ruled over this because of this child being left in the car. It was just a simple accident.
Well, you know what? I'm going to let Wendy Murphy take care of that one.
I don't know how to verbally express the significant raising of my eyebrows I just did when she said that. The point is that life is at stake. And yes, nobody is saying he intentionally wanted his child to die or become ill. But that's not the issue. The issue is, should we send a very strong message to parents with bad memories so that they, do something to get a better memory so the child doesn't die? That's the point. It's about human life versus shaming a bad parent with a very serious slap on the wrist through criminal prosecution. That's what you deserve. When you put your child at risk of serious injury or death, you should be prosecuted because death is really, really, really bad.
And I got to say very, very quickly, you got to take a look at an app here that I have. And of course, I have to log in. It's a baby reminder. I don't know if you can zoom in on that a little bit, but take a look at this. You can get this free app downloaded. It's a baby reminder. It'll set off an alarm when you get out of a car within a certain time frame so that you cannot forget your baby or any other living creature. And it's on our website, hlntv.com/Jane. Check it out.